Welcome to the first demo of the TorCrime app. This application will allow you to investigate a specific address of interest as well as compare between different neighborhoods within Toronto. To begin with, we'll go with the standard filters, which would be looking into crimes that have occurred outside, not indoors, and isolating to assaults and robberies. And I'll start by looking at an address that's pretty close to my own. And we'll get an understanding of what sort of crimes have occurred there. So we can go ahead and update the address here. We've chosen the address analysis from this dropdown. And now we can see that there is a address analysis report that's been generated for us. Looking at the report, we can see a few things that jump out right away. So we can see the number of crimes that have occurred. These are all isolated between 2014 and 2019. And we filter to crimes that have occurred within a 5-minute walking radius of the address that's entered above. We can also compare how our neighborhood, the neighborhood that's the closest to us, compares to other neighborhoods within Toronto, and we can see that the waterfront communities is the worst neighborhood for the number of crimes. It does change a little bit when you take into account some additional things like crimes per person and things like that. And there's more details on that within here as well as other additional dashboards. And happy to if anyone wants me to explain that further, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm happy to elaborate on that, and we'll probably have additional documentation that will be released in regards to that in the future as well. For now, keeping it at a high level, we can see that the neighborhood that is isolated, all of the 5-minute walking radiuses of this address is still in the waterfront communities. And here we can see a couple graphs that overlay the crimes in relation to our streets. So this one here, we can see longitude and latitude, and in relation to the number of crimes based on the size here. In this graph, we have the ability to actually zoom in and walk around if we want to get an understanding. So we can look into the specific address region close to where I live, and we can see that that there are quite a few crimes that do occur in this region, which may be a little bit alarming initially. But if we want to get a better understanding of what exactly what's causing those crimes and when they're occurring, then we can do that as well. So just by scrolling down a little bit further, we can understand that a lot of those crimes are happening at particular times of the day. So 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. being the big spike. The number of crimes, double 2 a.m. as opposed to everything else. Something else to be aware of is there are quite a few bars and clubs in this area, so it does make sense that you would see a big spike around 2 a.m. here. And we can see the rest of the time it's a lot lower within near my address, which does bring some additional comfort. So that was one of the really interesting things was seen in relation to my address, and I'm sure and some of the other addresses can go into those as well. We can also see that in the last couple of years it's dropped quite a bit. The trend does seem to have a pretty sharp decline as opposed to what was happening in 2017. And we can see that, as one would expect based off of the theories around the bars in the area, that Saturday morning is the biggest spike, by Friday and Thursday mornings coming after that. You can also take a look at how it's broken down by the type of crime. So we have filtered for assault and robbery here, so that's what we're seeing. Assault being the major difference. And down at the bottom here, we can also take a look and get a bit more details about those as well. We can take a look at them individually. That covers the analysis of this particular address. What we can also do is there's two other options for now, I'll go into the neighborhood comparison, and this will give us an idea of how the different neighborhoods compare to the ones that we've been looking at. So we can see here that the waterfront communities do have the highest number of crimes, and we can see that in this table here as well. Again, different filters if you want to adjust those. This one is particularly interesting as it will allow you to control for estimating crimes per person or crimes per kilometer. So if we want to compare where the worst neighborhoods are, if we take into account how many people live there, we see this adjust quite a bit to the now seeing the waterfront communities ranked sixth instead of first, and Moss Park being ranked as the neighborhood with the highest likelihood of crime per person. We can also compare that to the likelihood of crime in a given kilometer. And again, we also see here we actually see it go down even further, the waterfront community, as it is a fairly large one. And we see the Church-Young corridor being the largest estimate per kilometer. Thank you for taking the time to listen or read along with this. And if you're interested, please try out the free trial. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Happy to discuss things further. Thank you.